Hey, Bob, there you are.
Yep.
So, how's Bob today?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I got to get these links set out here. Then I'll be right with you.
Good. Oh, I won't bother you. Just watch you concentrate.
Man, you look horrible.
Would you like your glasses?
No, thanks.
It's Liz.
I'm just sitting on the chair.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Joe, your camera should be pointed down just a little because I was saying is you're down to about this level.
How's that?
That's better. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
We'll get you guys all set up. Let's see. I got to figure out where my stuff is.
That's a nice recliner you have there in the background. Did you get that somewhere around the stores around here, like living space? place?
No, my daughter sent that to me for my birthday.
Oh, it's really nice looking. Looks like it's very comfortable.
It says, "Oh no, this." I thought you were talking about the sign.
I'm talking about the black reclining chair behind your back.
That's I got at Costco.
Oh, really?
I actually got two of them. Yeah, I
Oh,
got two of them.
pretty comfortable.
See, the only thing was I was talking to Bill Orth, and these are power recliners, which is okay, but you notice I have cushions on them because I can't adjust the back independent of the seat position.
Oh,
And
okay.
I wish I could have just had a little, a slight adjustment. Bill, when he bought his, there's an extra motor or adjustment or something, so the back can recline or adjust to your particular body size,
Okay.
and then it tilts back. Okay, and these don't do that. These are on sale, and the ones that Bill was talking about, a couple $100 more, and I said, I don't think I need that. I could work with a cushion, but I sort of kicked myself. I didn't do that at the time. So you learn.
I don't know. Speaking of the devil, there he is.
Oh. There we go. Hello, Don.
Hi, Bob.
Let's see. We have
Oh, thanks. Oh, no, leave it there. I guess you won't make a waitress. Huh?
There's Pirate Terry.
let's see which one to do first.
But you're muted, Terry.
Arr!
Oh, there you are.
Let's see. I think what I'll do is I'm going to show you a video while we're getting started, waiting other people to come in. It's Yeah, this is the one. Here it is. This is the day. This is like a Monday that you don't really want to have. And so everything goes wrong, right? So wait, whoops, I didn't do it right. So everything goes wrong. Here we go. Share. There we go. So this is all the pain you can tolerate in one video, okay? So here's a poor guy. He's going to make himself some breakfast. Oh, he broke the yolk. And he's going to tear out a page and the thing doesn't work. And the firecracker doesn't go off. And you're going to spread the butter, but it doesn't spread. And then it flips over. And of course, the toothpaste falls off. He can't pour the coffee in his glass. Can't find a cellophane tape.
That is true. That's true.
And you're going to take the tab off and it sure rips off. Can't figure out how to plug in the thing. Can't. So these are all the, this is one of those bad Monday mornings, everything goes wrong. He drops his cell phone in the car. The pencil breaks. He drops his spoon in the soup, trying to open his wine.
Yeah, zipper doesn't zip.
This is a terrible one.
Oh, that's awful.
All your pain in one video. So I said, well, that's the way, So, our life isn't so bad when we think about all this kind of stuff here. So we're doing pretty good. We can survive a lot of those things. Tonight, there's a speaker for the 9/11 Memorial Remembrance in the LLC at 7:30, and I guess he's a ex-FBI kind of guy who knows all the inside stories about some of the security things that were going on in that period of time, and that should be kind of interesting. Barbara, yeah.
If you didn't see it last year, be sure to go. He's very, very good. Well,
I was listening to the TV this afternoon, and they're talking about 9/11 and said, with all this crazy stuff happening in Afghanistan right now.
Hang on 1 sec. I just mute.
And then we left with the Taliban in charge and ISIS-K and Al-Qaeda. Who's to say what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years? Because they now have a place for this for harboring, safe harboring of the terrorists, and a base for them to operate without us to get a chance to see what's going on because we don't have any boots on the ground. So that's kind of scary, but hopefully that case isn't going to happen. We'll see how it goes. But that's how the television is these days, trying to make big scary stories out of whatever is going on. So take it with a grain of salt. You got to switch channels to find out the other side of the story. So let's see. I guess we have a quorum now. So why don't we get started? There was a resident council this week, and I didn't get a chance to go to it, but I understand we have a few developments, one of which is we have a new treasurer with Doug Boston, and he's taken over. He was going on about all the signature cards he had to go through to get into that position, which is quite a process, I understand. So did anything else come out of that meeting that you want to talk about?
Well,
Gloria?
Well, Nadine mentioned all the things that she noted from the previous council meeting that she had taken care of, including lighting and the flags and so forth. I think that's all.
I saw that in the report. Yes, yeah.
That's all in the minutes.
That's good. Okay. Terry, you're muted, Terry. You're muted. There you
Sorry
go.
about that. When Judy Phillips gets on, make sure you talk to her about the big earthquake drill. It's coming up in October.
Oh, yeah, the big shakeout.
Let us
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's true. That's coming up.
She'll let us know, no problem.
Yeah, we gotta get all our clipboards dusted off and get ready to go for that. Yes. So, well, that's the other thing. And then thing I also want to remind everybody of course, this is the last few days of the recall election. So if you haven't mailed in your ballots, get them in. Or if you, I think Judy is going to take some down to one of the drop-off places, but make those arrangements directly with Judy in her office, because I don't know the details, because I think there's a signature required to have someone else drop them off for you. But the easy way is just mail them in, get them in there. So we get your wishes written down. And so for, let's see,
For the 14th.
do we have any birthdays we want to talk about, celebrate? I don't remember seeing the list, so I got involved in many other things. So
Minnie
I know.
coming up on Monday.
Who is that?
Minnie Bunting.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's not on our little show here, but we'll wish her a happy birthday. Let's see. Nadine mentioned a number of things about a bunch of move-ins coming in. So that sounds pretty good in the next month or two, but we still have a number of vacancies. So Meredith's got a lot of work to do, getting all those folks replaced. We were continuing to lose people, and that's a shame, you know. Poor Bill Bryan, he passed the other day, and he was a good old friend. We hated to see him go, and they keep him dropping off. It's a shame.
Yeah,
So let's see.
Sure.
Nadine, why don't, if you have some things you want to tell us generally about what's going on in the village, and maybe some of the updates you mentioned on Thursday.
Sorry, Bob, I was listening to something else. Would you like me to announce what I announced yesterday?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. We have no new or active cases at this time. We're going to continue, very good. We're going to continue testing because it's worked for us thus far, and it gives us information. So we will continue with our weekly testing. Want to remind you that the flu shot clinic is scheduled for Wednesday, September 22nd. And we are working with a pharmacy to schedule our booster shots for approximately 4 weeks later, so late October, which puts us 4 weeks after the flu shot, and then 8 months after our second COVID shot, which is what the CDC is recommending. So the timing works out well.
Right.
Also want to update you on the Director of Environmental Services position. So I had recently announced that we had a candidate that we were waiting for background and fingerprint clearance through the Department of Social Service. Well, unfortunately, this candidate is no longer being considered. So we are back to square one. We've posted the position online, and we already have a couple of interviews scheduled. So we'll keep you informed about that. In the meantime, please put your work orders through the welcome desk. Okay.
No way. Great.
For those of you who like to use the pool, I have good news. We have approved a bid to resurface the pool deck with an anti-slip coating. So number one, it'll be safe for you all to walk around in if you walk around with no shoes on. And number two, it will give the pool deck a really nice finished look. So we're going to be doing that work late September, early October time. We'll let you know once we have it scheduled, but we've approved the bid, so that's exciting. There will be some changes to the bistro menu beginning Monday, so be on the lookout for that. And then the big announcement this week, which I'm sure most of you know already, we've put out information about it, is to do with visitation. So up until now, your visitor has checked in at the desk, we've taken temperature, and they've filled out a questionnaire. That will continue, but what we're adding now, what we're required to add, because social service is asking us to do this, is that your visitors show their proof of vaccination. So they would need to bring that. If your visitor is not fully vaccinated, they will need to provide us with a negative test result within the last 72 hours. And that's to do with indoor visitation. If they don't have vaccination or negative test results, then they can visit with you outdoors. Okay, so that's the big change. Are there any questions relating to that announcement? No, it feels like we're being a little more restrictive and we're moving backwards, but you know, it's for our safety. We don't really have a choice because the Department of Social Service is requiring all of the RCFEs to do this, but it provides us with some safety. So are there any questions, concerns?
Barbara, go ahead. Barbara?
I just want to thank Nadine and whoever else was responsible for the lunch on Wednesday. Habit probably has the best hamburger I've ever had.
It was good. They have good food. I agree.
It was big too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have done with a single.
Well, I'm sure dinner wasn't very popular that night.
It was free too. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done.
Go ahead, Don.
It's been our custom to acknowledge first offenders with a luncheon sometime during near the end of the year. And we've not been able to do that for the last 2 years. But I want to tell you that today, Judy Marsh put together a program that delivered 96 bundt cakes to the police department and 96 bundt cakes to the fire department, and they were very well received. I got to tell you also that Teresa Dang had a hand in this. She must be a behind the scenes operator. It took me a while to figure out who did what to whom. But anyway, Judy and Teresa together put a really, really nice program together. The police and fire representatives were quite thankful, and they're looking forward to next year, hoping that we can get back to our luncheon.
That would be great. Thank you for participating in that, Don.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Jan.
I want to thank Nadine for the extra table, the large table for 6 in the veranda. And I'm wondering how soon we can have a third big table.
We currently have 2 larger tables, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll check with Kim. I don't know. It's, whatever we can fit. We're still required to maintain 6 feet distance, but we can see based on what the reservations are as well, but I'll check with her.
I would think that we're ready for a six-person community table, especially at 6 o'clock. But I don't want to, designate it to any specific table. Just get more tables so we can have a little more socialization. That really helps. Yes.
Yeah.
I ask another, here's a question, Anita. I don't know if you even know what the answer is. What is pacing the criteria for visitors to join us in for dinner, for eating that dinner?
Not yet. I know, once that is a go, we'll hear from Department of Social Service. There are surprisingly so many people still out there that are not vaccinated, and that seems to be the issue. There are many reports, I'm sure you're hearing it on the news too, of breakthrough cases where unvaccinated people are getting COVID and they're passing it along to vaccinated people. So that's a major concern. And when dining, your mask is off, and so we're putting people at risk. So for right now, the answer is not yet, but hopefully soon.
I was just thinking if our visitors have to be vaccinated, if that's going to accelerate, progress towards that, so we can have our visitors dine with us. That's all.
Yeah, I know that's really important.
And it's important to get back to the swing of things. Yeah,
it is. I completely agree. Once they roll that out, we will be the first. we will make that change, and I'll let you know. But so far, they've not touched on that topic in the memos that they've been sending us.
But there's nothing else that we can do to sort of say, well, if we meet this criteria, then they'll open it up for anything like that. It's
not to my knowledge. It's not specific to each community, and knock on wood, we've done very well. I mean, we really have had very few cases overall since the pandemic, and certainly as of recently, since February, we've only had the 3 cases. We've done remarkably well, but it's not based on that. Reopening is not based on that. It's a statewide mandate, that they're looking at. I do know if we had multiple cases here, they would be shutting down our dining. So we definitely don't want to go in that direction. They'd be shutting it down completely, because that was a consideration when we had our 3rd case. The public health had said to me, if you get more, you guys are going to need to shut down dining. And luckily we didn't, and we cleared our cases.
good. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I
well-
will keep you informed as soon as they, make that change. We'll let everybody know, and it'll take effect immediately.
Great. Okay, let me keep on going. Tomorrow morning, stop. 9/11, we're going to celebrate in the LLC tonight. We talked a little bit about that. We're just getting started with a speaker. Then tomorrow morning, there's going to be a remembrance at 8:45 in the morning, and you should have seen a flyer on that. Well, there'll be pretty much a lot of patriotic things done with the pledge and the prayers and so forth. And then we'll go into the Red Chair Lounge afterwards, and people can sort of discuss where they were and what was going through their heads on that 9/11 morning. Let's see, Monday, the Beach City Band will be out there at 7 p.m. So that's always a fun thing to listen to and so forth. Another item that's sort of been lagging that no one's really talked about is the wonderful workshop we have down. It's a garage, down in the garage. It's called some people call it the Man Cave. And Bill Orth and Joe Willett are probably the 2 experts that they sort of oversee this thing. And it's a wonderful workshop for anyone who loves to work with their tools and build things. And or they need to fix something, or they need a piece of wood to cut for something to fit in to do something like that. So if you have an interest, talk to them. But the other thing is, we've had a lot of tools donated, mostly tools for woodworking and and other kinds of things. And now they have an excess of tools. They don't know what to do with them. And so we're trying to figure out what organization might benefit if we maybe could donate them, or how to make use of those tools, because they're just sitting there. And maybe these are tools you had in your garage and you moved here with, and this is, I'm not going to use that box of wrenches anymore. And what are you going to do? So some people sort of gave it to the workshop, but they've been sitting around, and I think they have more than they can use. Then they have big machines and everything else down there, but you need to be qualified to use them. Barbara?
There's an organization, I think it's called Master Woodworkers of Orange County. They always had a great exhibit at the Orange County Fair. And if you could get in touch with somebody from that organization, I'm sure they could direct a good source to take the tools.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Bill Orth about it, because I don't know exactly where the excesses are, but he says we got lots of different things. And I have in my apartment, some old power tools and everything else, and I haven't used them in a couple of years, and it's probably best to get rid of that clutter. And Dee?
Habitat for Humanity takes a lot of those items too.
Yes, I'm familiar with them. My daughter's very much involved with them. And so, but they're mostly involved with building materials, as I understand it. But
well, they have to have
possibly
the tools to build the houses.
Well, I guess there's probably tools involved there too. So,
well, and
all right.
they have a retail store too.
Yes.
Yes.
That
Yes.
sells stuff like that. So if we're just going to donate, that would be a place for it to go through.
That's
I think
true,
so
yeah.
too. That would be good.
Well, we have to get a conversation going with Bill and Joe. I'm not too familiar with all the what's there and what's excess. So, but I just want to bring it up. Let's see. There's been more talk about more concern for rules for COVID and masks and vaccinations. And I found a piece of news that surprised me. And it was all about that we have the experts are talking about that the masks that we're using aren't sufficient for COVID. And I says, oh my gosh. And I looked into it, and there were some recommendations from certain doctors that COVID is a lot more pervasive than the other ones. So the old masks you may have, you may want to take a second look at. So I put together a little a briefing here to sort of pass on some of the details. So let's see if we can follow along with this. So it's, do you need to upgrade your mask? Because the Delta variant means you may need a bigger mask. So first of all, what's changed? Whoops, I'm bouncing around here. Good mask is more important because of the Delta virus. The particles and the size of the virus haven't changed, but what is different, the Delta variant produces much higher viral loads. You got more virus coming at you from and out of the infected folks. So just like when it rains more and heavier rain, you got to take more protection. You just can't wear a little piece of plastic. You got to take so a good mask is important for this heavier viral load. And a couple more layers of protection are maybe needed for if you have a very cheap mask. So here's what they're talking about. Which mask protects best I'm misspelling, sorry, from the Delta variant. And we're saying, oh, come on, back up. The N95s and the KN95s, which look something like this, those are the best. The surgical masks, which are these kind, the little blue ones, work very well. Cloth masks, but with a filter, are important, but not recommended are the activated carbon, these kinds here, or single or double layer cloth masks, which some of the ones that you may have already had. So if you got an old mask, you might, take a second look at it, because it not only is it not, capable of the filtering, it may be worn out too. So now the K95 or N95 masks are the best because they fit well and they block out the stuff, and they have a high filtration rate. In the past, they were not available because the hospitals needed them and there was a short supply, but that's not true anymore. So take a look, consider those as a replacement. The surgical masks, they're good because they protect in a different way. They do with aerosols, and a lot of the coronavirus is spread through aerosols. But even high filtering masks, but they're not as good because the fit isn't as tight. And so some people say, well, maybe you have to put another mask on top of it, like an old cloth mask, to help make it fit better. So it's, but these are the most common masks that we see today in use. Then the third class is a cloth mask, filtering the particles. But that's a gamble unless you have a filter in charge. And they get these filters, and it slides into a pocket inside the mask. And then you have extra layer of protection. They better than just don't. But you got to be careful because so many other cloth masks around. So they have a standard, an ASTM standard, as 5302. And if it passes that standard, then it's one good for filtration, breathing, and leakage. Not recommended are these carbon masks. They have carbon filters, which are great, but they don't work well for fighting COVID because they only trap a small percent of the viruses. Apparently, they can't cope with a heavy load, and the heavier load from the Delta sort of overloads these masks. Then, of course, the cheaper single or double layer cloth masks are really aren't good enough anymore. So, we need, if these are the kind we have, then we need to consider doing something about it. For instance, I'm going to show you here, if I can do it. Whoops, what happened? Let's see. Okay, I got to go here now to go to the. I know.
Good. We are.
I got to go to this. Okay, so some of the masks that we have are the poor ones. You remember this mask we got from Walnut Village?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that it does have a filter pocket in it, but you got to take a filter and put it in the pocket to make it work effectively. Okay, and these filters you can buy $5 for 100 of them in Amazon and everything else. So the filters are the important part there. You can hang on to your walnut mask, but add a filter to it. And then the ones that don't have the pocket, they're good dust frags. KN95 masks, they're great. And they are, some of them, I love this kind because it has the headband. And the headband, instead of the earlobes, goes over your head and it doesn't interfere with your hearing aids. So that's great. The one I use myself is a cloth mask, and it has a pocket in it. Let's see if I can show you this. For a filter, yeah, here it is. There's a filter in it, but I also add this other little, there's a little breathing thing. I showed you this a few months ago, and you can squeeze this in there also, so it makes it more breathable. And the nice part of this one, this is also has a headband for people who have the hearing aids problems. But there's a lot of masks out there, you know, fairly look. Just see if they're 3-ply or 4-ply. If they're only 2-ply and they don't have another layer in them, be cautious about them. But most of them, if you look on Amazon, all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of where they're 2-ply plus a filter built in or something like that. So check out what you have and take a look at them. It's a simple thing but we're gonna be wearing masks for quite a while. So I would suggest, you know, take a second look at that. All righty. Let's see. Okay. Things are back. I was reading something. Oh, let me just jump off to a couple of other things here. But first, we want to talk about some interesting stuff that's happening with technology. I came across this video, and it just blew my mind. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. The video is actually on internet, and I mean, it's on Facebook, and I wasn't sure if it's available to post most people, but it's well, what's so special about this? Well, let's watch it for a few minutes. This is a side of a building, which is a billboard. And they've changed the billboards to holograms.
Oops, how do you get it back on?
So yeah, this is over in Japan, and who knows what it's going to. And if you actually were driving down the freeway and looking, and you were distracted before about billboards, and you're driving, these would totally cause a lot of accidents. This is the greatest one. This is immersion in art. There we go. So that's what we got to see coming up in the future. Some rather involved. I guess this is virtual reality 360. It's not just putting it over your head; it's being totally involved in it. So we'll see where that goes and that kind of thing. I was talking last week about climate control and global warming, and I've started noticing more articles in the news about things, and talking with people at dinner about, well, what can we do about it? Well, my other involvement is following a lot of investing stuff, and I noticed that on climate control, there's a lot of companies that their investor or sentiment is dependent upon their commitment to the green environment, and they're called ESG companies. The environmental, I can't remember the other parts of the algorithm. Anyhow, and so a lot of companies are now switching to and mutual funds are buying up these companies because they are environmentally sensitive companies and watching out for the environment and pursuing some of these long-term goals. So we as investors can change our portfolios and start looking at these companies. And I'm looking at an article here that was talking about big lenders abroad are pushing on green goals. And they're talking about the big banks are making more funds and everything else available to them because they are green companies. And I think this whole idea of pursuing green goals and everything else is now at most of the board of directors type of meetings because the public is sort of demanding it. And so we as stockholders can have some leverage there. And so I was saying, oh, that's great. But then today, go ahead, Ken. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's good that some of the companies are doing this, but it's a global problem and it's going to take governments to make a change. Yeah.
Well,
governments are going to have to do this.
But it's the companies themselves that are spending money on energy or how they use the energy to make their products, deliver their services and everything else. If the companies do it on their own, government doesn't have to come in with a hammer and tell them to do it. But I agree with you. It has to be consistent. And government is important because it has to be coordinated globally. And so that's, it's a team effort for sure. But then I felt excited about reading about this. And then today I was reading about how a lot of these investment firms, this is, well, we better get on the bandwagon with this. So they're changing their names to from mid-cap investment funds to environmental sustainability funds or something like this, which is who knows what it means. And they really haven't changed their portfolios that they're holding. They just try to make themselves more appealing. And this is, oh God, here it goes. If you're trying to hope that something's going to happen and people finding a way around it to do what they want to do. So I was hoping that there's going to be a solution to that, but so. The other one I looked at, and it was sort of a disappointment, was we were talking about how important it is to manage the energy that we receive and use and how we consume and how we generate energy. And there was a good article about how if we can go use more solar, that would be great. However, producing solar is going to be one issue, but making use of it effectively depends upon battery technology, because when the sun goes down and you still need energy, you got to have something to carry you through for the next 10 or 12 hours. And if it's cloudy day, that could be 2 or 3 days. And so there's an interesting article today in the Wall Street Journal about battery technologies where the lithium ion batteries are nowhere near what we need, because they only provide service for a couple of hours, and the batteries that they're going to need for the grid have to provide service for 2 to 5 days or more. And so they're using totally different models and everything else. So that's very encouraging. And so a lot of investors are dumping money into that. And if you're an investor who wants to look to the future, battery technologies might be a really good place to go and take a look at. I had my other thoughts about that. But anyhow, green stocks, climate control, battery technologies, interesting kind of stuff to watch. I wanted to mention that I'm working on another project that's to survey Walnut Village, the village residents, and how they use and how much they use of the internet. Because the internet, whether it's direct plug-in or through Wi-Fi, is sort of a it's sort of a gratuity. They don't guarantee that we have that in our contract or a rental agreement, but it's there. We use it, and we hope that we have those services. However, when it's a sort of a I don't know if it's a gratuity or not, but it's there, and we all expect to have it now with using emails and internet browsing and everything else. But there's no real clear-cut guarantee of what kind of service we're supposed to have. And then with meetings, found out that really there's no technical support beyond providing internet to the faceplate where you plug in your apartment. So a lot of people have said, well, if I don't get a good wireless service from from Front Porch or Walnut Village, I'll do my own. I'll put it in a router. And that may or may not be the right solution, because I'm finding out that routers are personal equipment. If you plug, it's in your apartment, you plug it into the wall, it's your responsibility to figure out how to use it and maintain it. And there's very little defined of how Walnut Village or Front Porch is required to support that. So we need to find out how big of an issue this is, how much people depend upon internet, and where's it going to be in a couple of years from now, so that if we just have a few problems, that's one thing. If it's a growing trend and a thing that management needs to get involved with, then that's what I'm trying to determine. So I'll be contacting a few of you, trying to figure out if you're involved using the internet a little bit. That shouldn't be a problem. If you're using it a lot, that's where we need to go and try to figure out how to better support your needs. And it may end up that we have to have an Eric kind of guy to come around here and overlook our needs as individuals or collectively, so that if the third floor is having problems on the Wi-Fi's and the internet, then we can figure out what the general problem is. Terry?
One of the things is that some of us may be using it without realizing it. If you have a smart TV or anything that says smart, you're probably using the internet over it.
Yeah, but it's either you're plugged into it or you're using the wireless services. And you could be using the front porch wireless, or you could be using your own through your own personal or private router that generates its own Wi-Fi. And those are the kinds of questions I have to ask. And it's kind of hard because a lot of folks don't understand that. And or they get turned off when I start talking technical. But we still need to know, if they're expecting to be able to watch a YouTube or an internet or a Netflix or something. And there's more and more and more of that stuff coming out. So it's sort of a trend that we really wasn't anticipated 10 years ago when we built this building. So those are the kinds of questions I'm trying to ask. So that's just a heads up. I'll be working on that over the next week or two. Any other questions on that, or people want to get involved with that? All righty. Let's see. Okay, I want to show you a really cute video that I came across today. Has anyone been to a wedding recently that had a real good time with a wedding reception?
Not
Okay,
recently.
Okay, well, here's one that is called an Irish wedding. And I just got this video a little while ago, and really cute. So let's see if you guys get a kick out of it. Poor guy.
Thinks it will last. Thinks it will last. Oh.
Yeah, so they're I guess that's the fun of being a photographer, huh? It's so let's see. I had something else I was going to talk about. I forgot where it was there. Oh, well, let me see. I'll do a little Joe Tater for you guys, because he's always fun to listen to. And this is our goal, getting back into the Red Chair Lounge and having a good time on Friday nights. Oh, wait a minute. Let me stop this, because I didn't check to see if I'm sharing this with the right. No, I didn't. I don't have this thing set up right. So let me do this again. How about that? Good old Joe. So I'm running out of stuff to show, and I don't have a lot of stories to tell. So how about some other folks? You have things you want to share with us? Something might have happened special this week? No, well.
Bob, this
Yeah.
is Patty. I'm not sure, Nadine, because I couldn't get on when you first started. But a paper came out yesterday about if you have visitors and so forth, that they not only have to have been vaccinated, they have to bring their cards with them.
That's correct, yes.
What, and I don't know, because I haven't talked to my son. I know my daughter-in-law is an RN, and she drove all the way to Pasadena to get her shots. What if they don't have
A card?
their card? What do you do?
There's,
I don't know if every place gave cards out.
If you have a vaccination, there's some resources available at the state level to get some kind of proof, and I don't know all the details of it.
Okay.
They
may have them. I just was wondering what I should tell them in case they don't have it, because I know they got their vaccines.
But it's probably in their best interest to see what they can do to get a card or some way of showing proof of vaccination, because so many other things in LA and around here now are going that route. If you want to go indoors to restaurants and different sport venues, they're requiring proof. So
Don's got his hand up.
Okay, Don, go. Yeah.
That's a very interesting point. I've often wondered, when we take our test here on Tuesdays now, we're given a duplicate set of papers, which we hand over to the lady who does the swab, and then we disappear. What happens to those papers? And if I need to have one that says I had a nasal swab that was negative 17 hours ago, how do I get one?
Well, I don't know the procedure, but when you do get tested, it goes into the records for that testing database, whoever's managing whatever. And some places they allow you to access the portal to see that you have been tested. I don't know exactly, because we've changed agencies and everything else, what the details are, but that would be a good question for Teresa to.
One of the problems, I think one of the problems with that, if you need it within like 17 hours, I don't know that these places that come out and test have the results of all the tests that they've done within that time period.
Well, then you have to get tested ahead of time if you know you're going to have a deadline, because it's usually 3 to 4 days. Now, one of the things that Biden said yesterday was they're going to try to make this rapid test for home testing available, and at cost, I guess, in the different pharmacies and drugstores. And that might be kind of important for people who have many different requirements and businesses and school and everything else, and they need to show testing. But that's, who knows when that's going to happen. So
I guess the main point here for me would be, if we have a person coming here, they have to show evidence of a negative test 72 hours before. If I go out to visit somebody and they say, I need to have evidence that you get a negative, where do I get it?
Wait. If you have a vaccine card, that's not true.
Well, no, I've got my vaccine card on the phone. So I
okay,
can
I do too. That should be sufficient. That should be sufficient unless they require both. And I don't know who requires both.
Well, we do.
No, that's wrong. We only require the vaccine card unless you haven't been vaccinated, then you need the test.
I guess that I should read to you from Nadine's yesterday memo. All visitors that are not vaccinated or incompletely vaccinated must show documentation of a negative COVID-19 test that occurred within 72 hours before each visit, and for which the test results are available at the time of entry to Walnut Village.
Okay, but the first part of that says all people who are not vaccinated.
Not vaccinated.
You
Good
skipped
point.
over the part.
Good point. But if I want to show somebody that, yes, I have my vaccination record here for the first 2 shots, but they say, well, you say you're vaccinated, but I want to know that you had a test lately. How do I get, what happens to those 2 papers that we give to the testers?
We'll have to ask that question. I don't know the answer. But I know the record is kept because that's how Nadine knows that, in fact, the population is okay. They have records and they report on them.
But if I need one of those, how do I get it?
Well, it depends on the agency that did the testing. And I don't know all the procedures.
Maybe that's something you may want to look into for next week.
Okay, I'll see if I can get a question. Nadine is still listening here, so and it'll be on the recording too. So I'm sure she'll answer that. I have a friend who used to come and visit, and before she was vaccinated, she had to get tested, and she went on a portal. She was tested in LA. She went on a portal. She downloaded a copy of the test results. I sent them in to Teresa, and Teresa says, okay. And therefore, as a personal trainer, she came in here with test results. And this is before we got vaccinated. After we got vaccinated, the requirement went away. And she got vaccinated too. So that, but now all we're asking is for the vaccinated people as visitors to show their proof. And if they haven't been vaccinated, show the test results.
Well, maybe it would be nice if somebody would just tell me where those 2 copies go.
They go into their database.
Well, why do they need 2?
I don't know.
Why do they need 2?
Don, may I
What?
suggest that probably the best answer you could get would be to ask when you go to get your next test, how you go about getting a copy or where they go.
Yeah, because you don't get the results for another 3 days or so.
Right. I know. No, I mean, no, not what the results are, but if he wants to know
China cabinet.
how to get that information, then I would talk to the people who do the testing. They're most likely to have the best answer.
Okay, Terry, what's your question?
I don't have a question. I have a possible answer. When I misplaced my vaccination card, I was able to go to Teresa and she made a copy for me. 2, the state of California has set up a database which is keeping track of things. So if you enter the state of California, you can prove on this database that you have been vaccinated or not.
Yeah, the vaccine requirements, vaccine registration and records are different than the testing records because they're in the whatever. So I don't know. I guess the point of contact I would recommend is talk to Teresa. She would probably know how to get that from the testing company.
We'll ask her when we go.
That's all I can say. But it's a good point, Don. So let's see. Any other questions? Okay, I think it's time to say adios.
Thank you.
So don't forget tonight, LLC 7:30, and we'll have a good TGIF. All righty.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.